Hello, everyone. My name is Octo. I'm the owner of the Manfield Pro Circuit, and welcome to the first episode of MPC Overtime. This will be something of a podcast that'll premiere hopefully on a weekly basis. But yeah, I just want to go ahead and introduce my guests. Pants, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hello, everyone. I am Pants, Cameron, whatever you want to call me. I am the manager of the Calgary Blaze and also their coach.
And Courses, would you like to introduce yourself, buddy?
All right, what's going on, guys? It's Kourses, also widely referred as Big Chungus, and I am the manager of the Philadelphia Vipers, and I am also a part-time coach for the Dumb.
All right, and the first thing I want to take a look at here are the rosters for each team. I'm gonna just go down the list, and the first team I want to look at here are the San Francisco Sharks. Their team manager is King Spiff, and their players are Nexus, Sinful Panda, and Burry. What do you guys think about those teams? Pants, I'll shoot it to you first.
Well, I was incredibly impressed with Nexus's performance in the tournament that I casted, I believe, a week ago. He was amazing. He ended up winning the tournament with, I believe, it was Zebra Strike.
And I think Pancakes too.
And Pancakes. You're right. Sinful Panda, I've seen him play quite a few times. He's got really good rotations. He's got a good head out on his shoulders, good mindset. And same with Burry. Burry's a good rotator, good anchor for a team. So I'm interested to see where they go.
All right, Courses, you got anything to say about the Sharks?
Well, the Sharks definitely have a pretty interesting team here. You know, Nexus being, for me, he's like a leader role for this team compared to the other two players. I'm looking at him as the head honcho, as you will. Sinful Panda, as stated by Pants, he has really good rotations. He also has good comms, so you know where he's at on the field. And Burry, a great rotator, has decent passing. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Sharks play out in their first game.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem with the Sharks right now is they have such a small roster that, like, in the occasion that one of them can make it, it can really mess them up. And I haven't really seen them scrimming too often either, so I don't know how they're doing in scrims. So I don't know. I'm not putting my trust in the Sharks just yet, but I am interested to see how they do.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. There's a few teams, or I believe they're the only team that only has 3 players on their roster.
Correct, because I think Kingspiff wasn't. He didn't show up to the draft. He was busy, so it was
I
just
see.
an automatic draft. But moving on to the next team, we have the Minnesota Hunters, and the Hunters have a Bucko Gray, Mal as a team manager and player, Mito Maker, Black, and Sinner Reborn, along with Johnny Conga as their coach. I'll throw it over to Courses now. What do you think about the Minnesota Hunters?
So this team is pretty interesting. Out of all of these players, I've only seen two of them play, and that is Bucko and Mal. So Bucko, he's a great offensive player. He tends to, not like the third role much, but he's a really good striker and second player. Mal, he's a good player, rotates well. But all the other three, I really haven't seen them play, so it's interesting. Plus, I haven't really seen them scrim. I don't really know how they will play, but they have a good coach, so I'm expecting good things from them.
All right, Pants, any thoughts?
Just following up on what Corsa said there, Johnny Conga has an amazing coaching program, so I'm really interested to see how they grow over the season. I'm thinking that maybe in the beginning they might be a bit disorganized, but at the end we might actually see them pull off some pretty amazing wins.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. Minnesota Hunters seem like a pretty decent team, but I think the coaching from Johnny Conga, if he's doing it well, is really going to bolster them up. And now the next team, actually the Calgary Blaze. Pants, you want to open this since this is your team? We have CMD Battle, Zebra Strike, Wavy, and Chris 120.
Honestly, I couldn't have been luckier in the draft in the fact that I got the greatest group of guys. They are so much fun to talk with. They already have a lot in common. They were actually scrimming this afternoon, and I joined their chat, and they're all laughing and having fun. And they just got into a team together. So I couldn't have asked anything more for a coach. In regards to their play style, they play well. They're a solid team, and they have really good comms. Honestly, I'm really interested to see how the season does play out for them, because if they can put in the dedication and follow the training that I'm going to be putting out for them, we could do great things.
All right. Courses, you want to say anything?
They are absolute bots. No, I'm kidding.
Of course, he'd say that. 3-1.
Ooh.
3-1.
Are the scrim
3-1.
books coming out right now?
Yeah.
All right, so we actually scrimmed them today, so it was pretty interesting to see. I don't think I saw Chris, so I definitely saw CMD, Zebra, and Wavy. So they're actually really well structured. CMD, he seems to be like the head honcho. He's the one running this team. Zebra seems to be the second man, and Wavy tends to be the third. And the manager and coach, he's a bot himself, but he's going to teach everyone else how to be a better bot than him. So
Exactly.
I have really good hopes for this team. I'm expecting them to make it super far.
Yeah, I personally feel like the Blaze roster isn't anything too insane, but I feel like it's the managing and the coaching from Pants that's really going to make this team show up, and I feel like they're going to do really good in the league. And we move
Blaze
over-
represent.
Blaze rep. Hey, what's you guys' hashtag again? Blaze it.
Hashtag Blaze it.
I like it.
After the draft, because I'm Canadian, it is legal. I smoked a little blunt. Not gonna lie.
All right.
Got it.
all right. Anyways, we're moving on to our fourth team of the Western Conference, and that is the Los Angeles Aces. And their players are Trigger Happy, Cocaine, Sailor, Ushi Sushi, and Krog, with their manager being Newts, and they're getting coaching by Zed. I really don't know too much about this roster aside from Ushi and Trigger Happy, although Sailor has shown up during some stream games. But do you guys want to say anything about the team? Courses, you want to start off?
So we actually scrimmed them today.
More
So
scrim books. All right.
so Trigger Happy, he's a good player. He's someone that you could definitely depend on. Cocaine, he's solid, but he just tends to whiff a lot, so it's that could hurt them in the future. Sailor, unfortunately, I didn't see him. Ushi, he seems a little too passive, and it's something that could hurt them as well. He needs to try and get a little more aggressive. And Krog, he's a decent rotator, so with Zed as a coach, I have high hopes for them. I know that they could definitely improve in this season, but I honestly do not know how far they're going to make it.
All right, Pants, you want to say anything?
Yeah, sure. I actually know these guys pretty well. I've coached a few of them in the past, and I know actually a few of them in real life. Fun fact.
Ooh.
And they're great guys. Again, great group of people, and Newt, obviously. She is an amazing coach. She has actually really good mindset. She may only be plat for a manager, but she has a really good mindset when it comes to game sense, and just how people should be rotating, who should be on the ball, who should be off the ball. And again, we were talking before about Hamza or Zed. He is an amazing player, and I think that they have some potential going forwards in the season.
All right, awesome. That'll move us on to our next team in the Dallas Deadeyes, which consists of Yo Kaizen, Cody, Iceman Chills, A Marcus, and Lil Repty Z21, and being managed currently by That Blue Phase and getting coaching from Pyrus. I like this roster a lot, mostly because I really like the play coming out from Yo Kaizen and Iceman Chills, namely. I feel like Yo Kaizen is a really good player and is going to show up big time in this league. I also like to play from Iceman Chills. I feel like he has very good rotations and very good defensive plays. So I'm going to throw this over to you again, Pants. What do you think about the Dallas Deadeyes?
Honestly, I've played with a few of these guys, and I've also they were in a few of my tryouts when I was running them. Yo Kaizen, amazing player, great comms. Cody, same thing with him. He's amazing at just always finishing that ball, no matter what angle it's in. He's definitely a late game carry, for sure. And then Iceman Chills, again, he is just reliable, and that's something that you need a ton, especially in this skill set, in this rank group, especially. I don't know too much about their two subs they have, A Marcus and Lil Repty Z. But honestly, I feel like they could pull something off. I don't know too much about how their comms work as a team, but hopefully that all holds together for the season.
All right, Courses, you want to say anything about the Dallas Deadeyes?
The Deadeyes are pretty solid. They have the top. I know their starting three has to be Yo Kaizen, Cody, and Iceman. Those are your three killers. Yo, Kaizen, as stated by Pants, he's a solid player. He's going to be someone that shows out in this league. He might even get the top scorer for whatever we know.
Ooh.
Cody, he is a solid player. He knows how to shoot. He knows how to pass. Iceman, I think I've only seen him in the tournaments. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see him in any tryouts. And the other two, I honestly have not seen at all. So it's unfortunate that, I can't really tell if they're good or not, but they have a solid three. And going off of their coach, I really don't know him, but I know that this team could definitely make it far if they just train hard and just stay consistent.
And to move us on to our last team in the Western Conference, we have the Seattle Orcas. A lot of people are saying this team is going to be one of the top dogs, as their roster consists of Cosmic Dex, Aiden, Eclipse, Panopar, and Kuda, with management from Aiden. So, what do you guys think about the Seattle Orcas? I'll throw this over to Kourses.
So the Orcas is definitely a team to be reckoned with. Dex, as everybody in this league knows, is someone that is mechanically skilled. He's a good rotator, and unfortunately for me, I've never heard his comms, so I definitely don't know what they sound like. He has a tendency of always being mute, but I'm pretty sure while they're screaming, they definitely have comms. Aiden, I've never seen him play it. I've heard that Eclipse is a really good twos player. I want to see if it translates also into threes. And for the other two, I've never really seen them, so I don't know how they will be, but they have a solid three within Cosmic Dex. Well, just a solid two with Cosmic Dex and Eclipse. So I'm expecting them to make it pretty far, but I want to see if their solo plays can also transcend into team plays.
Okay. All right. Pants.
That's a very good point that Kourses just made about their solo plays being able to translate into some team plays, because Cosmic Dex, well, he was a number 1 draft pick, and he is an amazing player, but if he can't look for his teammates, his team could be left stranded and just sort of watching him try and play the games for them. So they do have to be careful about that. And also, like Kourses said, Eclipse, I've heard great things about. And Aiden, I believe he's a champ 1 as well. So I think this could be a solid team, and again, a team to look out for. So yeah.
Okay, and that's going to move us over to our Eastern Conference, and we start off here with the Boston Revolt, which consists of Element Francium, Camo as a team manager and player, Control, and Puerto Rican Boy, with no coaching. So I'll open this up here. I really honestly don't know too much about this team aside from Element Francium. Element Francium to me seems like a pretty decent player. I don't think he's anything insanely special, but I feel like if he gets the right coaching, he could grow into one of the top players in the league. But aside from that, I really don't know too much. I haven't seen much play coming out from Camo, Control, or any at all coming out from Puerto Rican Boys. So I'll throw this over to you, Pants. What do you think about the Boston Revolt?
I am 100% with you. I've seen Element Francium play, and I believe that with proper coaching and with a little bit more experience, he'll be an amazing player. But I haven't seen anything from Camo, haven't seen anything from Control, and anything from Puerto Rican Boy. Okay. Camo, obviously, he's the manager as well, so we didn't see him in any of the pugs. But I hope that he's structured his team in a way that he knows what will work well with himself, and also that he can work well with the other players, and that everything will work as a machine rather than get sort of caught up and end up breaking down.
Okay. Kourses, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so Boston is actually pretty interesting because we don't have any notes on this team, which could be, maybe a secret weapon, if you will. But Element, he was one of my picks. Unfortunately, he was taken before I could get him. When you put Element with good players around him, you clearly see a day and night difference between his play. When he has good players around him, he rotates good. He knows where his teammates are in the field. He could go for passes, take shots, and he's solid in the back as well. But when you have a team like this, I don't know how the other three are going to play around him. I don't know if they're going to facilitate towards Element or if they're just going to look for solo plays. But I haven't heard anything about this team scrimming, nor have they, we have seen them. So it's going to be very interesting, but I do not have any, good thoughts about this team as of yet.
Ooh, Okay, so that'll move us on over to the Miami Thrashers and one of my personal favorite teams. Not to have any bias, but
I think it's everyone's favorite team. No, sorry for
Not
interrupting,
only-
but I think
Big
it's
facts.
everyone's.
not only because of the colorways, but they have, I think, the best player. Oh, that was my phone. My bad. The best player to ever grace the planet Earth in Larry. Kind of a boss beefcake, but aside from Larry, they do have Doc Penn, which who I rate very highly in defense, along with Dank Divine, another great player, and Kellogg Gamer, also known as what's his screen name? Los, and they are being managed by Razor. So I really like the Miami Thrashers lineup. I'm just not too sure about their management. I think they're gonna get their management in check and maybe hire a coach, and I think they'll be a great team, if not one of the best. Courses, you want to take this?
All right. Well, the Miami Thrashers is pretty interesting. So Doc, he's a solid player, but he also tends to have some mistakes made around the field. Sometimes he overcommits when he shouldn't. So it's something that you should be watching out for. Dank, I've only seen him play once. From that one time, I saw that he was a decent player. He knows how to rotate. He has, a good game sense. Kellogg, I've never seen him play, so I don't know who he is. But let's put all of that aside and let's focus on the best player that has ever touched this game, Larry. Larry is going to be the pinpoint man. He is the one that's going to be looking for everything that he could possibly get. I expect him to have around 800 score every single game with 6 goals, 2 assists, and like 98 saves. He is going to dominate this league.
Put this
and
man
that
on
is
your
a
fantasy
fact.
league team. All right, Pants. Anything you want to add?
Well, in regards to Larry, Courses hit the nail on the head with that one. Larry was my number 1 pick. Again, with Doc, he's an amazing player, and it trips up every time that I ran a scrim with Doc. He almost always won. However, I also took some feedback from his teammates when I was looking through my draft, and a lot of the time I heard that he was very difficult to play with, not because of his comms or any personality issues, or mindset issues. It was more just because of his play style. He has a very weird play style. And that can not only throw off the enemy team, and that's why he won a lot of his games, but also throw off his own team. So I hope his team can cope with that.
I see. Okay, so Miami Thrashers doing like a pretty solid team. And, memes aside, I feel like Larry is a pretty solid player, despite being, on the lower side of the rank scale in comparison to the rest of the players. But overall, I'm liking Miami Thrashers. And that moves on to our next team in the Toronto Ice. And their active roster consists of Pancakes, Taterbot, who is also the manager, H Pain, Blue, and Rebel Desperado. And they're getting coaching by KPC Zombie. Pants, you want to give us any insight on the Toronto Ice?
I think they're a good team. They have really good mechanics, and their game sense seems to be on point when I've seen Tater and Pancakes play. Obviously, we lost Miski as the manager, and Taterbot filled that role. And Taterbot is a great player, and I think that Taterbot and Pancakes have a really good synergy between the two. And H-Pain, I haven't seen him play personally, but I really hope that their comms can hold up, and hopefully that Taterbot and Pancakes can include H-Pain rather than just sort of letting him do his own thing and possibly leading to mistakes down the road if they just sort of push him aside.
All right, Courses, you got anything to say?
So I completely agree with Pants here. So Pancakes and Tater, they're good players. They have that synergy, but then it's interesting because you have a choice of picking between 2 players that I've seen that are, good players in their respective ranks. You have H Pain and Blue, 2 really good players that know what they're doing, and they could absolutely help this team. But I haven't seen Rebel Desperado, so I don't know who he is. I'm expecting this team to play well, but I'm looking out to see if their comms are on point because sometimes things flare up and then the comms could go west. So I'm hoping that, they keep their comms in check. They know that, some games are important. Rather, most games are important. And, I want to see how far they make it this season.
Okay. And that's going to move us over to the New York Thunder being managed currently by JP Fine. And their players are Thumb Thief, Akkad, Spooks, Andu Please, and Walrus. And I personally haven't seen much out of this roster aside from Thumb Thief. And Thumb Thief really didn't show up mostly. Not show up, but like didn't really participate in anything aside from like the first tryouts. And I rate him very highly. I think he's a really good player. But I'm not too sure about his comms. But aside from that, I'm kind of lost on this New York roster. So... Kourses, you want to talk about the New York Thunder?
Yeah, I could actually agree with you here. So this roster, it contains players that I don't think they would sync up well. I mean, maybe with proper coaching and being able to play every day, they're gonna get the synergy that they need. But Thumb Thief, I really haven't heard about him, so I don't have much to say of him. Akkad, I've heard that he's decent in rotating and he has good game sense. Spooks, the only thing I'm worried about with Spooks is that he's been playing with his duo forever, and now that they're in this league, they're not in the same team. So it's going to be interesting to see if Spooks could adapt playing without him. Andu, he has a great potential if he keeps playing every day and he gets coached. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a top player. And Walrus, I really haven't seen, so it's going to be interesting to see this New York Thunder lineup. And well, the first game is going to explain a lot for us.
Ooh, wait, actually, who does Spooks' double that you mentioned there earlier?
It is Solid Space.
Oh, okay, they'll come up soon. But Pants, is there anything you want to add about the Thunder?
I think they're mostly a mystery. They have a lot of mismatched players. They sort of come from all different areas. I've seen a few of them play. I've seen Spooks, I've seen Akkad, I've seen Thumb Thief, I've seen Andu. The only person I haven't seen is Walrus. He's one of the subs. Akkad, he's a solid player. He played fairly well in the tournament we hosted. And Thumb Thief, he's a solid player, but again, he does lack in some of the consistency. I think he just needs more experience. He just needs a lot more experience playing. So maybe later on in the season, once we are playing consistent games and he gets used to his teammates, things could work out better in their favor. But I'm not quite sure about them. I'm interested to see how their first game goes and see if they do actually come through with a win.
Okay. And that's going to move us on to a team that somebody here should be familiar with in the Philadelphia Vipers. We have... On the player roster, we have Stonks, Overrated, Fudgy69, and Skylar Not Skylar, being managed by none only other than Kourses, also known as Big Chungus, and being coached by Far. Alright, since it's your team, Kourses, you got anything to say about them?
Listen, these guys are freaking disgusting. I expect nothing less than amazing plays. We got Far as the coach. He's known as the best 1v1 player in the world. He's actually #1 in the leaderboard. It's like... So this team, I built it. I think it's a pretty well built team. So Stonks, or also known as Chip, he is a decent player, but he tends to lack a lot on his shots, and he needs to get more sense of passing. So under myself and Far coaching, we're gonna see if we could help him out on that. Overrated, he is a solid player for me. Fudgy, he's a player that is pretty new. I'm getting to learn more about him, but he has a passive play style, so we're gonna see if we could amp that up a bit and make him a more aggressive player. And Sky is actually a nasty switch player, so keep your eyes out on him.
Oh yeah, I believe Sky is one of the, if not the only Nintendo Switch player in this league. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for him. And Pants, you have anything to say about the Philadelphia Vipers?
Well, we played against them earlier in a scrim, and honestly, they're a great team. They are probably, not tooting our own horn here, but one of Blaze's biggest competition in this league. They are disgusting and with their communications. They are just on point. They're always looking for passing plays, and they confused my team quite a lot based on those passing plays. They just didn't know who to look for, and honestly, just continuing with what Kourses already has and with Far, I think they're going to be one of the top teams in the league, 100%.
Okay, that moves us on to our last, but definitely not least, teams in this league, in the Atlanta Halos. And their roster consists of Arson Probable, Cap, who is also the active team manager, Solid Space, Oh Sunny, and Mist. And I think this Atlanta Halos roster, excuse me, isn't the craziest in the league, but I feel like it's a very safe mid-table team, I believe. Pants, you want to add anything onto that?
Yeah, I agree with you. They're right smack dab in the middle, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they can go. I don't know too much about their team, so we'll see how they progress throughout the season. But Arson Probable, he was an amazing player. I believe he came second in the tournament when we were watching him play. Again, amazing player. He's got amazing consistency, and he'll be able to sort of pick up if Cap or Solid Space have any issues throughout. He'll be able to pick up, have good rotations. Cap, I've played with him actually a few times. He's a really good player, and I just hope his communications can come through and that he doesn't have any issues with managing as well as playing. And with Solid Space, again, I've seen him play too. I've talked to the guy, incredibly nice guy, and I think he's got incredible potential for the league.
Okay, awesome. And that'll wrap up our team roster overview for now. And we will get back to you with the next segment. All right, hello everyone. We are back, and we are going to be going through tier lists. All three of us have made a tier list representative of each team in the Manfield Pro Circuit, and we have put them in a top tier, mid tier, and bottom tier section. And we are going to look at our tier lists, and we're going to talk about the main differences and similarities and why we have teams where we have them. So, yeah, I'll start off with my tier list. I think the major difference I have is you obviously see that I had the Seattle Orcas up in the top tier, while Kourses and Pants have the Philadelphia Vipers in place of them. I think for this, like, I'm going mainly off of rosters here. I think that Seattle Orcas does have the better individual talent, personally. And I feel like that'll be good, especially for, like, this first half of the league, where players are mostly, like, learning to play as a team, and they haven't fully meshed together. And I feel like Seattle Orcas will take a big advantage during the first part of the season. So that's why I have Seattle there. Is there anything else you want to point out?
Yeah, I agree with you there 100%. I think that that individual talent-wise, Orcas topped the Vipers, but I've also played against the Vipers, and I've seen how they're already working together and how they're already putting together team plays. And I think that no matter what they can pull off, and the Orcas can pull off solo, the Vipers can easily push that aside.
Okay. Courses, is there anything you want to add?
Dog, the Vipers are the best team in the league. How are you gonna put me down there?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Nah, but in all seriousness, I think the same way as Pants, solo plays are going to be a big thing in the first week due to people not really playing together. But my team has built a chemistry within like the last 2 days. Okay. And we're focusing a lot on passing plays and going for like things together, just having a lot of team plays instead of the solo plays. So even though, the Orcas have really good players in that team, I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to neutralize the solo plays and just get our team plays way ahead of theirs.
Okay, interesting. Now we will move into our prediction section, where we are going to talk about predictions for match week 1. And our first match here is the San Francisco Sharks versus the Philadelphia Vipers. I personally think that Philadelphia Vipers are going to stomp the Sharks. Like, no disrespect toward the Sharks, but from what I've heard so far, Vipers do sound fairly prepared, and I think they'll beat the Sharks 3-0, maybe 3-1. And let's see. Our second match here is the Calgary Blaze versus the Boston Revolt. I don't know too much about the Boston Revolt. I haven't really seen any of the players pop off. But on the side of the Blaze, I have seen their players play very well. So I do expect them to... I do expect the Blaze to win this out. But I do think it'll be closer. I think maybe a game 5, maybe a 3-2 in favor of the Blaze. As for our third match, I have Minnesota versus Miami. I have Miami winning 3-1. Orcas versus the Halos. I have Orcas winning 3-2 in a game 5. I have Dallas beating the Toronto Ice 3-1, and I finally have the Aces dropping to New York Thunder 1-3 in favor of the New York Thunder. And Pants, what are your predictions for this week?
I think 100% Vipers 3-0 sweep. I just think that Vipers have everything together. They just have the chemistry already put together. They already have scrims going on. They are just on top of their game right now. So I think 100% they're going to pull through. I have to disagree with you on the Blaze and Revolt in regards to the score. I think that it's probably, I've seen with my team at least, a few issues just getting warmed up into a game. So I think it's going to be a 3-1. I don't think it's going to be a game 5, but maybe a 3-1. And just because Larry Woot Woot, I'm saying Miami Thrashers against the Minnesota Hunters. Miami Thrashers, I'm going to say this one might be a bit closer. This is where the game 5 comes in. I say the Miami Thrashers are going to win 3-2.
Okay.
And on Saturday, we're going to have the hard one, the Orcas and the Halos. Again, I haven't seen too much out of the Halos, even though they are a decent team. I just think the Orcas have a little bit more on top of the Halos right now. So I think the Orcas are going to pull this through. I'd say another 3-1 in favor of the Orcas. With the Deadeyes and Toronto Ice, this one is going to be a close one. I think that in the start of the season, we were talking about this before, how things can be more solo play based when people aren't playing with each other on a team. So I think that Toronto Ice actually, I think, might have the edge on this one, just because I know that Tater and Pancakes play together. So I know that they already have some chemistry, and that could lead to a win. So I think this is going to be a 3-2 in favor of the Ice. And for our last match, I say the Aces and the Thunder. This is, again, a very close game in my books. I'd say that the Aces actually might inch out a win here with another 3-2.
Okay. And Kourses, you got your predictions ready?
Yes, I do. So for the very first game, this is a no-brainer. Philadelphia Vipers are definitely going to stomp the Sharks.
Ooh.
Even though the Sharks have decent players, Nexus is one of them. He was going to be one of my picks. Unfortunately, he was taken. But nonetheless, we got to stomp old friends down. So I'm pretty sure we'll give them a nice field. So, 3-1.
Those are some fighting words.
For the Calgary Blaze and Boston Revolt, this is going to be an absolute murdering on the field. Boston, I'm sorry, but Calgary Blaze is definitely going to smoke them. It's probably going to be a 3-0. I disagree with their own team manager. They don't need any time to warm up. They're going to come in straight warm off of their scrim before the match. For Minnesota Hunters and Thrashers, even though I think this is going to be a close one. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a game 5. I'm pretty sure Pan said the same thing. Both these teams have really good players, but I'm going to have to disagree on this one and say that Minnesota Hunters are going to take it on an 8-minute overtime. For the Orcas and the Halos, I haven't seen the Halos at all. And just skill-wise, I would say the Orcas, just because they have players that I know that are top par compared to the Halos. I'm pretty sure that one's going to be a 3-1 towards the Orcas. For the Deadeyes and Ice, that's going to be a super close game. I'm pretty sure it goes to game 5, and I'm going to have to go with the chemistry of Ice, Tater and Pancakes having, their synergy together. They've been playing for a while, so Ice takes it in game 5. And for the last one, the Aces and Thunder. The Thunder, we still don't know about them. They're a mystery team, as we said earlier, so the Aces are going to take that 3-1.
Interesting. Okay, and one quick question in terms of the schedule. What do you guys think will be the match of the week? Like, what will be the hot match for everyone to watch? Because I personally think that the Dallas Deadeyes and the Toronto Ice is going to be the match of the week.
I'd be inclined to agree with you there. I think it's going to be the most interesting game in regards to being on the edge of your seat. If you're looking for, interesting plays, I'd say either the Blaze or the Vipers games. I would say that we do have a little bit of an edge in regards to team chemistry there. But I'd say in regards to just a nail biter, Dallas Deadeyes, Toronto Ice.
Okay. Kourses?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with both of you guys here. The Deadeyes and the Toronto Ice match couldn't be any closer. If we're looking at the players, we haven't seen any scrims off of them. So I wonder how it's going to go. I know the Deadeyes have been scrimming and also the Ice, but I haven't seen them play at all. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I know that this is going to be a very close match, and it's going to be one that you need to watch for.
All right, awesome. And that is going to end our prediction section, and we're going to move over on to some questions. We have a pool of questions, and I'm going to pull some questions from that pool for us to answer. And our first one is coming in from Trigger Happy, and he asks, "Who do you think is the most underrated player in the league?" And I'm gonna throw this over to Pants. Who do you think is the most underrated player in the league? Could be on your team, it could be on any of the other teams, but who do you think is the most underrated player?
Underrated player of the league. This is an interesting one. I'm not. Obviously, we hype up Larry as he is this god, but in regards to picks, he wasn't obviously picked first, just based on his actual rank. And I think he might be underrated in that sense, in the fact that he does play a lot better than what his rank suggests. Another player that I'd say is an underrated player in the league is actually I believe it's the Thunder's sub, Andu Please. He is a great player. I've played with him. He has an amazing mindset. And he has a lot of potential. So I'd have to say it'd be Andu Please for my most underrated player.
All right, Courses. Who do you think is the most underrated player in the league, or players?
So for me, the most underrated player is gonna have to be Vlu. Vlu, I saw him play, and he came to most of my tryouts, and he was someone that I had an eye on. It's just the small details is what kept me away from him, but he is an underrated player. He shouldn't have been picked, pretty late in the draft, but he is someone that you need to watch out for. If you're playing against him, just watch out for Blue. He could definitely, turn up in the matter of seconds.
I want to look at Sailor on the side of the Los Angeles Aces. I feel like he's a very underrated player. I don't see many people talking about him, but I do think he's insanely good at the game, as much as I didn't talk about him earlier. But I feel like he's a sleeper pick, and I feel like he could really pop off during the league. Our next question comes in from Andu Please, and he asks, "What do you think of some teams' decisions to take just 3 or 4 players instead of the maximum 5?" I personally think it's a matter of building a core roster. Like, if you can see, for example, with the San Francisco Sharks, they only picked 3 players, although it might have not been intentional. This could be a really good thing, as you can really build team chemistry with this roster. So I really like that coming out from the Sharks. I also want to look at the opposite side of the spectrum where teams manage to fill their roster out. I feel like this could be good not only for rotations, say if you have a player missing or something like that, but also for trading power. Like once the transfer window opens, you can those teams with extra players can definitely use them to their advantage to trade them to other teams in search for other players. So Pants, what do you got to say?
I'd say I agree with you quite a lot in regards to just having that core roster. But again, there is that power that you have for trades later on. If you do have a player that's amazing, you can still have a player replace him that's already used to the team, if they want to pick up something new and sort of get them integrated into the main roster. However, having maybe 4 players, it can give you a bit of an advantage because you're not constantly rotating out. And I think it's probably a smarter idea, at least in my experience with managing teams, to have at least 2 active subs. I think it's just a smarter idea in regards to the grand scheme of things, and everyone's got busy schedules. Players might be students or have jobs. Things can come up at the last second, and players might need to sub in.
All right, Courses, what do you think?
I think it's pretty interesting. There's some people that choose to, only pick 4 people, but you have to look also at what the team is trying to build. If they already have a sort of team that they have in mind, and then it could also be that their picks were taken. So some people just couldn't get the picks that they wanted and just ended their draft. On another note, personally, I have 4 players, so the reason why I didn't pick a 5th player is because I wanted to keep the last gap open for when the 4th week comes around for the either signing a new free agent or just picking getting a trade going, anything like that. I have options.
Mm-hmm.
So I built a core roster that I know I'm gonna have. So it's 4 players where I know I'm gonna be rotating 1, or I could just have an active 3 with 1 sub that I know he's consistent. So it's interesting, but at the same time, it could also be a plan in the end of the day.
All right, and that's going to move us on to our final question asked by Sparky. This is going to be directed towards you guys. And he asks how you guys feel about your chances to get your dubs in the first match week. And I'm going to throw this over to Courses again.
Look, Big Chungus himself has talked to the many Chunguses, or the Chungai, as they say. And we all know what the hell we got to do. We all know the job needs to be done, and we all know what we have to do to get that job done. So I am feeling 952% confident that I am going to get a win in the first week, and there's nothing that could change that.
All right, Boston. Oh, wait, you guys are playing Boston? No, the Sharks.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
playing the Sharks.
Right. All right, Sharks. Keep your eyes out. Be careful during that first game. The Vipers are out for blood. And I'm gonna throw this over to Pants. What do you think? What are your how do you feel about your chances to get that win in week 1?
I'm pretty confident. I'll be honest there. I am pretty confident. I think that our team has a little bit more out of the gates than the Revolt. However, I've drilled this into the minds of my players that it is just a game at the end of the day. We're playing to have fun, and it's not if we lose, we lose. We go forward to the next game. We learn from that, and we grow from that. We don't always need to win to grow as players and get better. However, in regards to this first match, I do believe we have the win.
Okay, very interesting to hear. That'll just about wrap it up for the Manfield Overtime. Do you guys have any closing remarks or anything you guys want to just put out there?
Hashtag blaze it!
Hashtag blaze it, all right, Courses?
I just want to wish everyone, a very prosperous season. Let's not forget that we're all here to get better, and just play your hearts out. Play like as if it's a championship game, and let's have a great season.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. Thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to tune in on Twitch November 8th for our first match day. And like Kourses said, play your hearts out. But remember, in the end, it is just a game. Try not to take our rankings too seriously, especially since this is the preseason. We really do have no idea what the hell's going on. We will see later on during the season, but yeah, aside from that, I think that wraps it up for the show. Thank you guys for watching, and be sure to subscribe. Be sure to check out our Discord. That'll be linked in the description below. And yeah, I think that's just about it. Thank you guys.